All right, guys. Today we're gonna be reacting to Rachel Wilson goes off on tone policing feminists and defends Andrew. Let's jump in.
You said optics and tone policing are important. Was this about Andrew Wilson
Yeah,
or
it
was
was.
this about me?
No, it was about Andrew Wilson.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't know. He brings up tone policing sometimes when people say, well, I agree with you, but I don't like the way you said it. I think it's just because he doesn't meet people where they're at. And I don't think he's
Oh, that's a bunch of woman garbage. We have to meet people where they're at.
Do you
no,
want to achieve your goals or
yeah,
not?
right,
Like,
exactly.
Do you
Yes.
want the vision that you see for the world or
yeah,
not?
and the vision I see for the world is not going to be met through convincing a bunch of emotional, irrational women that what is reality is non-negotiable.
Why do you
They're
have to be
all just
hateful
gonna
in your speech?
It's
Like,
not
you never
hateful.
say- you
It's
never-
not.
what about
This
male
is-
passivity?
It's more woman garbage.
More
to
women
all I'm
garbage.
saying is
More
that
women
are y'all
garbage.
gonna let me talk? or
Y'all,
no?
you don't have to say it like that, though. You can just say this is
That
There you
is
go.
this
tone
is
Tone
garbage.
policing.
emotional.
Right there. She's arguing about tone policing while being tone policed. That's crazy.
Like
That's
a woman.
tone policing. It's nonsense. This whole I agree with what you said, but not how you said it. That's shit. And this
It's
is the problem
emotional.
with giving women power, because now suddenly everyone's an HR manager, everyone's a hall monitor.
I just don't
We
understand why
can't
you
tell
have to
jokes
say woman in front of it.
because it's a woman problem. Men don't do this. Men don't constantly go,
Okay,
actually,
so
I agree with you. I just don't like
why
the
don't you
delivery."
share
I don't think
where
you've watched some
what you think
betas
are
debating.
Well, they're
weaknesses
women.
with men in society
It's,
today?
What's
If
that?
what's that comment has to do with anything? This
If you
35-year-old
truly are
lady.
telling me
Wait,
that you have an
tilt
objective
mic
view,
down.
I would like you to share what you think are some weak areas of men in our society. Honestly,
What does that- wait a
Because I
minute.
want to see if you can actually be objective or if you're just a mouthpiece for your husband.
wow.
Oh, you think I'm just a mouthpiece?
I do.
Wow, I've never heard that one
Wow.
before, guys. That's brand new to me. I'm just a brainwashed
I guess I couldn't
woman.
think with my woman brain.
Yeah,
so
I can't
had
think.
to do
I,
something
well,
reused.
clearly I can't think with my woman brain. But if you'll be quiet long enough to let me talk, I'll tell you. I'll explain this to you. All
Damn.
yours. It's because
That was
men
cringy.
generally, there's a male hierarchy, right? If you're a man and you act like a little bitch like that, you get beat up. You get stuffed in lockers.
You
You
do.
get a swirly. Women are the only people who run around going, you know, I know that you're correct, but I just don't like the delivery. It made me feel a certain way. I'm in my feelings, and I don't like the way that you said it.
It wasn't the way you
And-
drove, it was
and
the
men-
tone.
Right, and then men who act that way
the hell's
are
wrong with
being
her?
feminine. They're being beta feminine bitches, and they get put in their
women
place.
have different tactics.
So
they
do you-
use social isolation.
Beta.
They use defense.
Exactly,
They have
which
group
is
tactics.
why
And so
when
it looks
you're-
different
when
than how
you're
men
parsing out the
are
truth,
aggressive.
right,
when you
female
are,
aggression is different.
When you are parsing out
Damn,
the truth,
she's over talking, man.
you don't cater to
Yeah,
women.
they don't want to listen. They're over. That's the problem with the over talking. That's disrespectful out of the gates. That's insane. Wow.
women's stupid feelings
So you
about
don't
it. Does that
value
make sense to
femininity?
you?
Okay, so
You don't
I value femininity, and femininity means you sit down and you be quiet when people are parsing out the truth and telling you what's what. You
Really?
don't sit there
Why are
and
you
go,
here then?
"Oh, I don't like the way that you." I'm here,
None
in
of us-
my wisdom as an older woman, to let all of you know that you're full of shit and you're
But
being
why aren't
ridiculous.
you? Why aren't you at home being quiet and fulfilling your
When
feminine
I'm at
role?
home, I am.
She got a hall
quiet.
pass.
But you're here.
When I already said the patriarchy.
But I
gave me
would
a
like
gay
you to
pass.
answer my question, and I will respectfully listen, but I would like you to answer my question. And the reason I ask it is because I want to see if you are able to view male and female strengths and weaknesses objectively. Because, this podcast, and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and assume because it is this
So
podcast.
you just want me to name a weakness of men?
I
They
would like
let
to see
women talk.
where you think are areas of men in society that are weaker points.
Sure,
Yeah.
I would say that where men tend to go wrong is
And
by
listening to
being
women.
so desirous of women and putting
Yeah,
them on a.
that's what it is. That's our weakness right there. We just want to give them everything, but then we don't understand the consequences of that, because it's like a biological response. They're delicate, they're the little angels supposedly, right? This is from the man perspective, so we want to protect them, right? But the same person that you're protecting, you want to give them power. That's when the problem comes in, because then you're giving power to people that has never really gone through a lot of accountability and repercussions. They haven't gone through that. Men, we have to go through it. We got bullied. We go to sports. We compete a lot. We know how to just tell ourselves, like, hey, you have to check it out and move forward. You think the females go through that? at the same level as men? No. So you get to a position that you have people going through life becoming judges, becoming politicians, becoming teachers, and so on and so forth. Police. And right now, have you guys noticed at the last debate, there was the tone policing? Trump, you get a certain amount of minutes, and Biden, you get a certain amount of minutes. That's tone policing. That's literally the way of females talking and telling men what to do and what not to do. Crazy, huh?
A pedestal that they kind of go along and they, fluff them up and go along with their nonsense because they want. And I think that's probably the biggest weakness that a lot of men have.
Is there any weakness that you can list that doesn't have anything to do with women?
Women are not the best at anything.
You sound
Well,
like a misogynist.
That's not true.
Women are not.
We're the best at raising kids. We are the best at raising kids.
You just feel better just hating on your own gender?
I know what you're going to say. Single dads do better than single
fathers
moms.
have a better turnout rate than single mothers.
Brian, the woman prattles out of control. I can't
Single
tell you.
fathers have a better turnout rate than single mothers.
Okay, respectfully, I would like
Sure.
to, yeah.
So the problem right now is that we have an inverted social order. The social order is not meant to be that we must cater to women's feelings and that women have to be okay with how things are said and they have to approve and we have to convince them and we have to pull them over to our side.
So-
the way it's
Recipe for disaster, folks.
supposed to be is that the order is men, then women, then children. The men parse out the truth, they write the laws, they enforce the laws, they run society. The women can have their opinions all day, but it doesn't mean that anybody has to give a about them. Does that make sense?
So
you can have
male
your opinion.
passivity, you didn't list that. Do you think men in our society struggle with being passive? Because I would argue that that's something that's a problem.
I think there's a I've explained this 10 times. There's a hierarchy among males.
Okay.
The ones that end up at the top running things do not pay any attention to the passive bitches at the bottom and they get stuffed in lockers. They don't generally get to reproduce. So historically, every one
That's
of us
a true
sitting here
reality
has
right
twice
there.
as many female.
That's a reality. That's why, as a man, you have to step it up, man. You have to step it up. You want your genes to move forward in this world. You have to step it up, folks.
Ancestors as we have male ancestors. The reason for that is that men have to compete to be worthy of reproduction. As a woman, all you have to do is drop eggs. That's it. Someone's going to come along and inseminate you. You don't have to be special. You don't have to do anything wonderful or unique. You don't have to compete necessarily. Now you can compete for higher quality as a woman, but to reproduce as a woman, all you have to
she's
do is
trigger.
be fertile. As a man,
Trigger.
historically, you have to compete for the women. So the betas, the feminine men, they get used as cannon fodder, ditch diggers. It's tough. Being a man is like really
Here's
tough.
my problem with your approach. As a woman of God, I would assume that you would put value in women, and that's what I don't hear in any of your
I
arguments.
put value in women as mothers, as wives, as caretakers. I think they don't belong in the workplace. They don't belong in college, with a few very minor exceptions, and here's why. We used to have communities. We used to have women that, like me, would
You know what's
spend
crazy? She has a good point. Community was based on women. Women used to create culture. They're the one that maintain culture. They got into the workforce, and all of a sudden there's an eradication of culture, of communities. Because mom is not there. Mom is not talking with the neighbor. Let's just do a little bit of party for Jimmy. There's none of that stuff. So right now we're losing the culture because they wanted to go and just work in HR, I guess. It's very interesting.
early years
argument.
raising kids. As they get older and their kids start to leave the nest, they're helping the younger generations raise their kids. They're helping their sisters, their nieces, their daughters raise children. They're working in the church parish. They're working in
Yeah,
the
there you
community.
go.
They're taking care of the elderly. We don't have that anymore because women are all in cubicles working for corporations and paying taxes.
Getting
And it's-
sexually harassed by their
Exactly.
bosses instead of their husbands at home where they should be.
Where it's fun, where you want the smack on the ass, you know? So I know that you don't like my tone, and my message to all of you women out there who don't like my tone is I don't f***ing care. I don't care. If you can't get past your own feelings to hear what I'm saying, then you're going to doom yourself to a life
It's
of
your
misery.
lack of Christ-likeness. That's what it is.
If she's a woman, she can't be like Christ.
I don't like that.
So you
kind
think
of talk.
Christianity is being nice? It's meeting the approval
I think
of women.
Christianity is being. I think kindness is,
being
but it's not the most.
soft.
But you know what God is called? The first when God describes Himself in Exodus, the first adjective that He uses in Exodus 34, He says, "I am a God of compassion." And so I think
Well,
compassion.
compassion doesn't mean weak. You can have compassion for people, but you can have compassion by telling them the truth. That's why you have compassion, because you have compassion and you care for the people. That's why you don't like them. You don't like because you don't want the worst for them.
Compassion is very important,
I think
and
you're
I think
filtering
God puts
everything
more
through your
value.
woman feelings. I think that you're in your feelings right now. You don't like my delivery, and I'm telling you that I don't care.
So every argument that I've just provided for you is
Nothing, make
scripture, and you're trying to say that that's feelings.
No, you're not
So I
giving
think that's
me
a flaw in
scripture.
your
You're giving me
Exodus
woman prattle.
34.
You are filtering your perception of Exodus.
I'm sorry,
through your
she's not a
woman
Christian.
feelings.
She's not a Christian. But let's that. Did I just quote a
Proverbs
literal?
21:19.
Okay, did I just quote an act like obvious scripture?
Yeah.
You could look it up. You could look up Exodus 34,
Yeah,
and it will
okay.
say, "I am a God of compassion." That's the first. Faithful love.
right.
All those.
So
He lists four
I have
characteristics
to
about
meet
him.
your standard for compassion for you to accept my
No,
message.
but I think it's-
You're
I think
here
it's-
to make sure that I speak the way that you think I should speak.
No,
you
but
know
I
I
am-
have a husband and I have a priest, right? And if they think that the way I'm talking is not correct,
Absolutely.
they will correct me,
But as technically
not you.
but technically we are supposed to be part of the same family, like sisters in Christ. And
Right.
all I'm saying
and
is
what we need is women who will boldly speak the truth and not mince words and not be subject to the HR management department
thought we
and the
needed
hall
women to be
monitors
feminine.
who are going
Yeah.
to sit.
and be at home and be quiet. But now we need
there's
to
gentlemen.
When I'm
really
at
speak the
home,
truth.
when I'm at home, sweetheart, I am quiet
She
and
hit
I
you
am
with the
submissive
sweetheart.
to my husband.
Okay, but you're
I'm here
Bro,
to
that shit
now.
triggered them, man. That thing triggers them. Woof. They triggered. They get triggered by that, man. They're like, "Rah," like demons.
Full of feminists and a panel full of modern women, and so I'm here to tell you all that you're full of shit and that I don't care what you think about my delivery. Argue my arguments. Defeat my arguments. Don't tone police me and say, "Well, you're right, Rachel. I just don't like the way you delivered it," because I don't care.
You know, I don't. Your tone doesn't bother me at all. Like, I agree with like a lot of what you say.
But?
I just think you're ineffective. I think you're ineffective.
Well, tell-
man, they used to say the same thing to Kevin Samuels. They say the same thing to a lot of these people that just host like these kind of shows. They say the same thing. I agree with everything that you have said so far. I just don't like the way you just deliver. I don't think that's effective. It doesn't matter, folks. It doesn't matter because truth is truth. It can be delivered by a homeless guy or it can be delivered for the richest person in the world. It's up to you to just really receive the message. The homeless guy might be telling you. If the homeless guy tell you, "Hey, listen, Pablo," or is it Josh or whatever, you better study, get your education straight, and get your business straight, your money straight. That way you will not end up like me. He's telling the truth. It's a homeless guy. He's telling the truth. If the rich guy tells you, "Hey man, you better just get your stuff together, get your education right," That way you don't end up like the homeless guy. He's still telling the truth. He might just say screaming. I mean, I work with a lot of teachers, a lot of mentors, man. Some of the majority of them, they just release some of this information very unlikable. But then when there's an emotional response, and when you go sit down in your home and you start analyzing some of the information starts sinking in. You're like, oh man, there's some truth on this. The tone policing doesn't work, folks, because then it starts with that, with tone policing, and then it starts with something else, and then it starts controlling your life, your lifestyle, and it doesn't really matter.
Tell that to the Amazon bestseller list, which disagrees.
Boom.
Okay, but you've
Hold
sold
on.
a lot
I
of
do gotta
books,
move
but have you
things
changed
on.
anything?
I do. Wait, say your point and then I'll move.
Oh no, I
on.
was just gonna say, like, selling books doesn't mean you've changed anything.
Oh, maybe the hundreds of messages, letters, and DMs from women around the world saying that they've decided to not go to work,
I just
stay
don't
home
believe
with
that.
their kids. You don't believe it?
I don't believe
Okay,
it.
I will
See some
share
proof.
them with you. On
I
my
just think
website.
I think it's a
on my
shame
channel.
because you
Why don't
obviously
you,
have a big platform, and
It's
I
a
think it's
shame, you
unfortunate.
guys. She feels bad for me. It's a
It's not that I
shame.
feel bad for you. I literally think it's.
Just
I
save it.
think.
Listen,
I
just
s- you
save
talk
it.
about how you don't.
Save
We are
it.
always saying I feel. I said I think it's
Shame.
a shame because you have a large
at that.
platform and you're representing Christianity.
Look
And
at
unfortunately, I don't think you're representing
I'm
true
sure you
Christian
don't.
values very
I'm
well.
sure you don't.
And I'm not saying I did not do a
Wow.
perfect
You're a
example.
Pentecostal heretic. What do I care what you think?
All right, we're back.
Ooh. Shame, insult, guilt, and need to be right. Right here, folks. These two. Shame, insult, guilt, and need to be right. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next.